Okay, so welcome everyone to this deep dive. And today we were going to kind of like plunge headfirst into a pretty intense story, the story of Carnage 1nOnly.
Mhm.
And we're really going to try to understand how he took these huge personal struggles, dealing with things like mental health challenges, addiction, really difficult relationships, and turn them into something really positive.
Right. Like, how did these things that, so many people experience end up becoming like this engine, this driving force for his creativity, his spiritual journey, and a really powerful desire to help others?
Yeah, exactly. How do you take that kind of darkness and make it into a source of light, not just for yourself, but for others?
Yeah. And we've got this really fascinating collection of stuff that we're going to look at today that paints a pretty detailed picture of how this all unfolded.
Yeah.
So, we've got his own personal reflections on his journey. A lot of that comes through his music and his writing. There's some exploration of his spiritual understanding and, some pretty significant shifts in mindset that we're going to unpack.
Right.
And then on top of that, we've got some super direct, unfiltered glimpses into his thoughts and feelings from his YouTube channel. There were some samples of his music there and discussions about how his art has grown.
So it's like we're getting this multidimensional view of his transformation, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So the big question for me, and maybe for a lot of our listeners, is how does someone take those absolute rock bottom experiences and not just find their own way back, but like actively reach out and offer that same lifeline to others who are going through something similar?
Right, yeah, it's like turning your pain into purpose in a way.
Exactly. So let's really unpack that.
Okay, so one of the clearest themes that emerges from all of the material we've looked at is the absolutely crucial role of creative expression, particularly music and writing in Carnage 1nOnly's transformation.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's not just a hobby. It's like this fundamental lifeline.
It really does come across that way, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
It wasn't just something he did in his smart time. It was essential to how he dealt with everything going on inside.
Yeah, exactly. And in the sources, it's described as this like raw reflection of his battle with his personal demons.
And I think that's why it's so powerful for the people who listen to his music and read his writing.
Yeah.
Because it feels authentic. It's not polished or fake. It's just real and raw. And I think for a lot of people, it offers that feeling of catharsis.
Like a release.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're not alone in their struggles.
Right. And what's really interesting is that by expressing himself creatively, it's like he was able to take all that internal turmoil and those difficult emotions and externalize them.
Almost like giving them a shape, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, there's this one excerpt from Carnegie's Lullaby sample where he says, "My mind is frostbit locked in a tombstone in my head and in my heart."
Wow. Yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah. And it's not just expressing sadness. It's like he's creating this really vivid image of what's happening inside him.
It's almost like you can feel the coldness and the isolation in those words.
Right. And that act of giving form to those abstract feelings, taking them outside of himself, I think that gave him a sense of control and validation, like someone gets it.
Right. So it's not just saying I'm sad or I'm in pain. It's like painting this really visceral picture with words and music that other people can connect with.
Exactly.
And the sources also point out that it wasn't just about him working through his own stuff. It was about connecting with others who felt the same way.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It became a way for him to find his own voice and to use that voice to reach out to people who felt unheard and unseen.
Isolated.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if we kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture here,
Yeah.
music especially seems to take on this almost transcendent quality for Carnage 1nOnly.
Yeah, like it becomes something more than just entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. There's
Yeah.
this one source that says it's a means to spiritually heal and awaken consciousness.
I like that.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's like he's tapping into something much deeper, even mystical.
Right. And it suggests that the act of creating music itself can be this pathway to healing.
And to a deeper awareness of yourself and the world around you.
Yeah, definitely.
And here's what I find really fascinating. It's not just about the music or the writing itself.
Yeah.
It's about the intention behind it.
On purpose.
Yes, the sources really emphasize that even those really dark, crushing thoughts, as he calls them,
Right.
could be transformed into something beautiful and meaningful.
And he's really explicit about that, too. He straight up says he found a lifeline through turning his crushing thoughts into poetry with no other goal in mind other than the hope those words could do the same for others.
It's so powerful, right? It's like he's taking this pain and using it as fuel to create something that can help other people.
It's like turning poison into medicine.
I love that analogy. And it also raises this really important question about vulnerability, both
Yeah.
in art and in healing.
Yeah.
He's not hiding from the difficult stuff. He's putting it all out there.
He's owning it.
And he's doing it with a purpose to connect with others who might be going through something similar.
And the sources mention this deep craving he has for genuine connection.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he acknowledges that he's been hurt in the past.
Makes sense.
And he has this fear of being vulnerable again.
So it's this really delicate balance,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. Like, how do you open yourself up to connection without exposing yourself to more pain?
Exactly. And it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Huge courage.
So we've got this really strong theme of creative expression as this lifeline,
Mm-hmm.
a way to process pain, connect with others, and even reach a deeper level of understanding.
Right.
But there's another piece to his journey that we need to explore,
Yeah.
and that's the role of spirituality.
Okay, so spirituality emerges as another key element in Carnage 1nOnly's personal growth and healing.
Yeah, and it's woven throughout everything.
Yeah, for sure. And the sources talk about this spiritual exploration that he's on. And it hints at a belief in something bigger than himself.
A higher power.
Yeah, a higher power. And this really cool idea of a divine spark or a divine within that exists in everyone.
So it's not just about a belief in God. It's like a belief in the inherent goodness and potential
Right.
in all of us.
Right. It's very humanistic in a way.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is that it's not just a passive belief system for him.
Yeah, he's not just sitting around thinking about it.
Yeah.
He's actively seeking it out.
Yeah. And the sources emphasize that this spiritual connection is crucial to his healing and his sense of purpose.
It gives him hope.
And there's this one really specific detail that I found fascinating.
What's that?
The sources mention Reiki
Oh, yeah.
as a potential avenue for healing.
It's like he's open to exploring different approaches to well-being.
Yeah, and it speaks to this desire to connect with something beyond just the physical world.
Right. Like there's more to life than what we can see and touch.
Exactly. And what I find particularly interesting is that it seems like his spiritual exploration is leading him to a different way of seeing the world.
A new perspective.
Yeah, there are all these references to concepts like interconnectedness and a flow of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it suggests that he's developing a worldview where spiritual understanding is actually key to personal empowerment.
It's like he's realizing that there's a deeper potential within himself and others.
And that potential goes beyond just the surface level stuff.
Right. It's about tapping into something much more profound.
So it's about looking inward, finding that inner strength, and realizing that we're all connected in some way.
Yeah, definitely.
And it sounds like the spiritual dimension is also influencing his beliefs about how reality works.
Right, like how we shape our own experiences.
Exactly. There's this recurring theme of manifesting reality through our thoughts and actions.
And that's linked to this idea of positive energy and a connection to the unseen.
And he actually encourages his audience to do the same.
To look inward and manifest the reality they want to see.
Which is a really powerful message, right? It's like he's saying, we have more control over our lives than we think we do.
It's about taking ownership. Yeah, that's a big part of a lot of spiritual traditions.
Okay, so we've got this really fascinating interplay between creativity as this tool for expression and processing and spirituality as this way to find meaning, connection, and even a sense of agency.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't talk about Carnage 1nOnly's transformation without talking about his pain and his struggles and his resilience.
Right, like how did he actually get from that point of darkness to where he is now?
Yeah, and this is where his story becomes really powerful.
For sure.
Because it shows us that struggle doesn't have to be the end.
Yeah, it can actually be the beginning of something new.
Exactly.
Mm.
His experiences really highlight how going through difficult times can force you to look inward and to grow in ways you never imagined.
It's like pressure creating diamonds.
I love that. And the sources really emphasize how vulnerable he is in sharing his struggles.
He's not pretending that everything is perfect.
He's being real about the battles he's fought and continues to fight.
And that in itself takes a lot of resilience.
Huge resilience. Yeah, and what's remarkable is that even after going through so much pain, he still has this unwavering belief in people.
He doesn't let his own experiences make him cynical or jaded.
And he's constantly offering encouragement and support to others.
Even though he admits to feeling discredited or doubted at times.
Which just makes his message even more powerful.
Yeah, because it's coming from a place of genuine empathy and understanding.
Exactly. And it seems like his spiritual exploration plays a big role in his ability to stay positive and hopeful.
It gives him a framework for understanding and even transcending his own limitations.
And he actually expresses this belief that going through pain can bring you closer to a higher power.
Which is a really interesting way to reframe suffering.
It's like it's not something to be avoided, it's a potential path to growth.
A necessary part of the journey.
And if we connect this back to his overall mission, his desire to challenge oppression and inspire hope,
Yeah.
it's not just some abstract ideal.
It's deeply rooted in his own experiences,
Yeah, it comes from a place of authenticity.
right? It's like he's walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
And there's this one image from the sources that I really love.
Tell me about it.
They describe him as a bearer of water.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's such a perfect metaphor for what he's trying to do.
It's like he's been through the desert and he knows how hard it is to find water.
And now he wants to help others find it too.
Beautiful.
So we've talked a lot about the big picture stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it's helpful to zoom in and look at some of the specific ways his mindset is revealed through his YouTube content.
Yeah, let's get a little more granular.
We've already touched on the powerful emotions that come through in his lyrics.
Right.
But his discussions on his channel really underscore a lot of the themes we've been talking about.
Okay, so in the Carnegie Lullaby sample, we get that raw emotional landscape of loss and turmoil and longing for connection.
Mm-hmm.
But when you listen to him talk on his channel, it's like he's really focusing on that process of taking those personal struggles and turning them into music that can connect with other people.
And it's striking how those core themes keep coming up.
Yeah, for sure.
The pain, the self-reflection, the growth, the belief in others, and the spiritual exploration.
It's all intertwined.
Yeah, and it's clear that he sees music as something much more than just entertainment.
It's a tool for healing and transformation.
Exactly. And he actually says that music has the power to spiritually heal and awaken consciousness.
He's not just trying to create a catchy tune. He's trying to create something that can make a real difference in people's lives.
Yeah, and there's this one quote from his channel that I think really captures his vulnerability.
Yeah.
He says, "Therapy, my therapist, only when I speak to me, only place I ever open up, so please believe in me, believe in you and see the truth. Only you can make it through. Destiny is met when we accept it's ours to choose."
It's like he's giving us this really intimate glimpse into his inner world.
And his journey towards self-empowerment.
And there are these little hints, these breadcrumbs that we get from the sources.
Right.
These references to specific years like 2011 and 2012 that suggest there were some pivotal moments in his life.
Turning points.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, we come back to that central purpose, taking those crushing thoughts and shaping them into poetry with the hope that his words can offer a lifeline to others.
It's the thread that runs through everything.
It is, and his exploration of spirituality is really multifaceted.
Yeah.
It includes this sense of interconnectedness, a belief in a higher power, and this openness to exploring practices like Reiki.
It's very holistic.
Yeah, and you can see how that belief in the power of the mind to shape reality comes through in his messages to his listeners.
Right? He's always encouraging them to look inward, to take control of their lives, and to actively work towards creating the reality they want.
And I think this one statement from the sources really encapsulates everything we've been talking about.
What's that?
"I was nothing but a sad, suicidal kid lost who found a lifeline through turning his crushing thoughts into poetry."
Wow, yeah, that's powerful.
It really is, and it speaks to the transformative power of creativity and spirituality.
And resilience.
Absolutely. And it's important to note that his focus isn't just on individual healing and growth.
Right, he has this broader vision.
Yeah, he talks about this deep desire for unity and understanding among people.
He sees this energetic bond that connects us all.
And he's very critical of labels and ideologies that he sees as creating division.
He's calling for a more compassionate and inclusive way of relating to each other.
Exactly. So it's not just about him finding his own way out of the darkness.
It's about helping to create a world where everyone has access to that same light.
So as we start to wrap up this deep dive into Carnage 1nOnly's journey, what are some of the key takeaways that stand out for you?
Okay, so for me, the biggest takeaway is that even the most intense personal pain, the kind that can feel completely debilitating, can actually become the catalyst for incredible growth and transformation. And that growth can take many forms. You know, it can lead to incredible creativity, a deep exploration of spirituality, and a powerful desire to help others.
I agree with all of that, and I think his story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
Yeah, for sure.
It shows us that suffering doesn't have to be the end of the story.
It can be the beginning of a whole new chapter.
And the lifeline that he forged for himself through his art and his spirituality, he's not keeping it to himself.
No, he's sharing it with the world.
He is actively and intentionally extending it to others who are struggling.
He's a beacon of hope.
So, as we close out this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with a provocative thought
Yeah.
that builds on everything we've explored today.
Yeah.
Considering Carnage 1nOnly's journey and how he took those crushing thoughts and turned them into something positive,
Mm-hmm.
what are the crushing thoughts in your own life
Ooh, good question.
that might actually hold the potential for unexpected creativity, a deeper understanding of yourself or the world, or even a new sense of purpose?
Yeah, that's something for all of us to think about.
It is. It's about looking at those difficult experiences, those intense emotions, and asking ourselves, what if this pain could be transformed into something meaningful?
What if it could be a source of growth and connection?
Exactly. So as we sign off until our next deep dive, keep exploring those questions.
And keep believing in the power of transformation.
Thanks for joining us.
See ya.
Bye.